Have you ever wondered if you could predict a football match before the first whistle even blows? Well, today we're going to try and do just that. We're going to put on our detective hats and dig into the data, follow the clues, and see if analytics can crack the case of one big game. So, what's our case today? It's a fantastic matchup, Cagliari versus Parma. Now, the question is simple. Who's going to win? But the answer, that's buried deep in the data. So let's start our investigation.
All right, first things first. Every good investigation starts by establishing the facts of the case.
Here's our case file. The game is taking place at Cagliari's home stadium, the Unipol Domus, and the conditions? They look absolutely perfect. Sunny, 85 degrees, with just a bit of a breeze. So, the scene is set. Now let's take a look at our two main suspects. Okay, it's time to start sifting through the evidence. We're going to begin with the most straightforward clue we have, the overall team ratings. And right off the bat, this case gets really interesting. We're looking at their ELO ratings. You know, it's kind of like a chess ranking for football teams. And on paper, wow, this is basically a statistical dead heat. Cagliari is sitting at 15-16, and Parma is right on their heels at 15-11. At first glance, this is anybody's game. But, you know, just like in any good mystery, there's always a twist. We've got key players missing from both squads. Cagliari's missing Whitesca and Pavoletti. Meanwhile, Parma is without Friggin and Ondrejka, plus Kuda is out on suspension. These are the kinds of wild cards that can completely derail a simple prediction. So, the service-level evidence, it's a toss-up. It's time to take this investigation to the next level. Let's head into the analytics lab for some deep forensic analysis. This is where we go way beyond simple ratings. See, predictive models are like super-powered detectives. They sift through hundreds of different factors, everything from shots on target to home field advantage, to spot hidden patterns and project what's most likely to happen. The real clues are usually buried in here. And look at this. Our first piece of forensic evidence is pretty revealing. We're using what's called a Poisson projection, which is just a fancy statistical tool that's really good at predicting goals. And for the first time, we're seeing a real gap. The model expects Cagliari to score about 1.92 goals, compared to just 1.28 for Parma. All of a sudden, this case is not a dead heat anymore. And the evidence just keeps piling up. We basically brought in a panel of expert witnesses, 3 different machine learning models. Think of them as 3 different detectives, each looking at the case from a totally unique angle. And while their confidence levels are a little different, they all point their finger at the same suspect, a Cagliari home win. So what happens when you get all 3 of your top detectives to agree on a final verdict? You get this. We combine all their analyses into one stacked model, and it gives us this number, a 65.5% probability that Cagliari takes the win. This is probably the strongest piece of evidence we've found yet. But hey, we're not done. We want to be absolutely sure. So for our final step, we're going to stress test our conclusion by simulating this match over and over and over again. And I'm not kidding. We're not just going to run this simulation once or twice. We're using what's called a Monte Carlo simulation to play this exact match 10,000 times. It lets us see pretty much every possible way this game could play out. So, what do those 10,000 possible futures look like? Well, the results are pretty clear. Cagliari wins in almost 58% of them. You got a draw about 27% of the time, and Parma manages to pull off an upset in just over 15% of the simulations. It's a strong confirmation of what our models were telling us. The simulation even gets super specific. We can see the most likely final scores. A 2-1 win for Cagliari is the single most common result, followed closely by a 1-0 or a 2-0 victory. This just adds another layer of detail, painting a really clear picture of how this game is expected to go. Okay, we've examined the case file, we've inspected all the evidence, we've run the forensic models, and we've simulated the outcome 10,000 times. I think we are ready to deliver our final verdict. So, the case is closed. While these two teams looked like a perfect match at first glance, every single piece of deeper evidence pointed towards a narrow victory for Cagliari at home. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? Even in a game this beautiful and unpredictable, how much of it can we truly explain with just the numbers? Of course, it's really important to remember this is all about probabilities, not crystal balls. The models show us what's most likely to happen, but as we all know, on the day, anything can happen on that pitch. So please, use this for insight, not advice, and always gamble responsibly.